Well,
Yeah,
what do you think about the Ducks at this stage of the season, Don?
they still scare me to death. I'm not even gonna lie to you about that, Mark. Are they down? Sure, they're down. But they're getting a little bit of health back. Vernon Adams looked really good last Saturday. He's still a mobile guy, can run around, can make stuff happen. No, he's not Marcus Mariota, but he's a solid and legitimate Division One quarterback. And my car better be strapped up and ready to play Saturday night. Oregon's going to bring it at this point. They're not out of the Pac-12 North race. A lot of things would have to break their way for them to get to Pasadena for the Rose Bowl, but it could happen. And, they're going to play for themselves and for each other. And Stanford better be ready and better expect that. All of that said, the Card does not have a letdown game on its schedule remaining. All three of the games left, first of all, they're all at home. Win all of those, or frankly, win two out of those three, and then you get another one at Levi Stadium, a week later. So never have to leave the Bay Area again, and shouldn't have any problem getting up emotionally for any of those contests. And looking at a really good postseason berth. Win them all, and a real good shot at making the top four and entering the college football playoff. So motivation's not going to be a factor. I'd be even more frightened if I trusted Oregon's defense, and the really is that I just don't. Defensively, they have just been exposed time and again throughout the season. Expect Oregon to come in and score some points, but I'm not 100% sure they're going to get the top-ranked offense in the Pac-12 off the field, and I think that's the biggest benefit that Stanford's going to have going for it.
Don, I'm scanning the rest of the country from a traditional standpoint, and I'm coming up with Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Auburn, all the usual rivalries that mean something from a tradition standpoint, but also where there have been stretches of time, long stretches of time, where that rivalry has owned the conference, has decided the conference. And traditionally in the Pac-12, I'm jumping all over the place to try to find USC, UCLA comes to mind, but how many years has UCLA really challenged USC? There really hasn't been that rivalry. Now, here in the last 4 or 5 years, Stanford, Oregon, that game has taken on the championship banner of the Pac-12. Not so much this year, but it's still, with Stanford being the primary banner waiver for the, if that's a word, for the Pac-12 at this point to try to get to a college football playoff, and Oregon now stands in the way, something we've seen flip-flopped in previous years.
Yeah, Oregon would love to go to the Farm and knock off Stanford Saturday night. And I don't care what anybody says. I know it's a relatively recent phenomenon, but this is a legitimate rivalry. And when we stop and think about the fact that, since the Pac-12 became the Pac-12, since there's been a North Division and a South Division, one of these two teams has won the North every year and then gone on to win the Pac-12 championship every year. So, this has been a de facto semifinal game for the Pac-12 championship for each of the last 4 seasons. And it's kind of fascinating, to see it unfold. The roles are a bit reversed, as you've alluded to. This year Stanford's the favorite by 10 points, which I find terrifying. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. How are you gonna favor Stanford by double digits against, all of that speed and, all those Dayglow uniforms that are coming to town in a couple of days. It should be a good game to watch. It should be electric. I do expect David Shaw to do what he's done against Oregon, with great success during his entire tenure, and take the air out of the ball. And, you're going to see a whole lot of pounding ground and ball control and 9 to 12 to 15 play drives that hopefully end in touchdowns. I think you're going to see a bunch of that. I do think Oregon is going to score. I think they're going to have, the way the defense has played this year, they're going to have a very difficult time controlling and stopping this particular Stanford offense. So I think Stanford gets the win. I think, it may be around that 10-point line, but that's not going to happen until late. I think this is a one-score game until sometime into the fourth quarter.
All right, Don King from Last Word on Sports. He set us up for a big weekend in the Pac-12. So these are the previews, Don. Your predictions are coming out tomorrow, correct?
Sure. Yep. I'll be publishing them either tomorrow or Friday evening.